Hello students, here I am Vinita Mondol, Assistant Professor in Physics at KKM College Jamui. Here I have come to teach you the next part of the interference. In the previous two lectures, I have talked about the definition of interference, the conditions of interference. I have calculated the fringe width and shape of the fringes. Now I will talk about the types of interference. The interference may be divided into two main classes. One is the interference by division of wavefront, another is interference by division of amplitude. Let's first see what is the interference by division of wavefront. In case of interference by division of wavefront, the incident wavefront is divided into two parts, either by reflection or refraction. The examples of division of interference by division of wavefront are the Fresnel's biprism and Lloyd's mirror. I will discuss about the Fresnel's biprism and Lloyd's mirror little about. Another class is the interference by division of amplitude. Here, the amplitude of the incident beam is divided into two or more parts by parallel reflection or refraction. Examples of such type are Newton's rings and Michelson interferometer. In the case of interference by division of wavefront, one thing is essential that we should use point source or narrow line source. But in case of interference by division of amplitude, it is not. Here a broad source is employed to produce brighter fringes. Let's first see what is Fresnel's biprism. It is a device made up of two prisms, placed base to base, forming a small single obtuse angle. The device is made by Fresnel and it is an example of interference by division of wavefront. In practice, the obtuse angle is taken as 179 degree and the prism is made from a single optically plane glass plate by proper grinding and polishing. Here you can see the diagram. S is a narrow vertical slit which is illuminated by monochromatic light. The light emerging from S is allowed to fall symmetrically on the biprism P, placed at a small distance from the slit S, which is the distance is x, and with its refracting edges parallel to S. The light beams emerging from the upper and the lower halves of the biprism appear to diverge from two vertical images S1 and S2. Thus, S1 and S2 acts as two coherent sources, virtual coherent sources. The light comes from BS1D and AS2C diverging from S1S2 are superposed at BC, and BC being the overlapping region where the interference fringes are formed. The fringes are not localized. Therefore, the screen can be placed anywhere within the suitable distance to observe the fringes. Here, like Young's double slit experiment, the fringe width is beta equal to capital D by small d into lambda. And therefore, using this expression, we can find the wavelength lambda of any unknown source. Here, capital D is x plus y. You should learn this biprism very carefully because you have to do a practical experiment in the part 2, in the BSc part 2 practical classes. Now you can measure the acute angle of the biprism. How we can measure this? Here you can see the diagram. The separation between the virtual sources S1 S2 is small d, and alpha is the refracting angles of the prisms. Okay, and mu is the material uh, refracting index of the material of the prism. As alpha is very small, the deviation of a ray produced by each of the prism can be written as mu minus 1 into alpha. Okay. If theta is the total deviation of the ray striking the center of the biprism, then one can write half theta equal to mu minus 1 alpha. And as theta is very small, we can write d equal to x into theta. By putting the value of theta from the first expression, we can have small d equal to 2 into x into mu minus 1 into alpha. Therefore, by measuring d and x and knowing the refractive index mu of the prism, we can find the angle alpha of the prism. Using this biprism experiment, we can find the thickness of any transparent sheet, okay, like mica glass, okay, and the sheet mica or glass which we the thickness of which we are going to calculate should be placed at the path of one of the two interfering beams. Here you can see the diagram. We have put the mica sheet of thickness T in the path of S1P. Okay. Therefore, if we put the mica in the path of one of the interfering ray, then the interfringe system gets shifted. Okay, through a constant distance towards the path of the beam in which the sheet is placed. The fringe width remains unchanged. The central fringe, let us assume that the central fringe O is shifted towards P. Okay. Therefore, now the optical path from S1 to P and from S2 to P must be equal. Therefore, we can write S1P minus T plus mu into T equal to S2P. Therefore, S2P minus S1P equal to mu minus 1 into T. If we do not put the mica in the place of one of the interfering rays, then what will happen? The P will be the position of the nth bright fringe. Okay. Therefore, we can write S2P minus S1P equal to n lambda. Thus, from the two equations, it is clear that mu minus 1 into T equal to n lambda. Now, we can put the value of lambda using the previous equation, that beta equal to capital D by small d into lambda. Therefore, mu minus 1 into T equal to n beta into small d by capital D. Now, n beta is what? N beta is the amount of shift of the central fringe, which we can denote as x0. Therefore, mu minus 1 into T equal to x0 small d by capital D, and T equal to x0d by mu minus 1 into capital D. Therefore, using this expression, we can find the thickness of any sheet placed at the path of one of the interfering rays after knowing the values of mu, lambda and the fringe width beta. Okay, this is the Fresnel's biprism experiment. Another example of interference by division of wavefront is the Lloyd's mirror. It is also a very simple device to obtain two coherent light sources to produce sustained interference. Here is the diagram. Mn is a mirror polished on the front surface and blackened at the back to stop the multiple reflections. Here is the arrangement. S1 is a narrow slit illuminated by monochromatic light placed with its length parallel to the surface from S2, which is the virtual image of S1. Therefore, S1 S2 acts as two coherent sources. Now BS1 is the direct light cone and BS2C is the reflected light cone. The two get superimposed to produce interference fringes in the overlapping region BC on the screen. Okay. Here similarly the fringe width is beta equal to capital D by small d into lambda. Here also using this Lloyd's mirror experiment we can find the wavelength of any unknown source. One thing we should mention that the central or zero order fringe is expected on the screen to be at O but on the perpendicular bisector of S1 S2, but it is not because O is outside the region of superposition. So the zero order fringe can be made visible if we move the screen towards Mn such that O coincides with N. Another way is by properly introducing a thin mica sheet. Okay. Therefore, the pattern will be shifted to downwards and we can see the zero order fringe O on the screen. Another thing we should mention that the central fringe is here black. Okay. But we expected that the central fringe should be bright, but it is not. It is dark. Why? This is due to the phase change of pi when light is reflected from the mirror, which is the denser medium than the air, so that a path difference between the interfering waves at the position of 0, which should be 0, but here it is lambda by 2. Therefore, the central fringe appears as dark. For today, that's